Hey, welcome to week 3 of the Watson Weekend. You're still here with us. Woo! I'm your
Thank
host, Rick
you.
Watson, CEO of RMW Commerce. Hey, Jess, what's up?
Hi. How are you? Thank you guys for being here. We're excited. We have not been canceled yet, so that's always a good sign. So, Rick, as we're getting into the holiday season, I was curious if you've done your shopping yet?
Uh, Shopping. That's a negative ghostwriter. No shopping happening at this point. I think the best point I could say for the shopping this season with the upcoming baby, we managed to time the baby so that we could take advantage of Black Friday discounts. So how's that one?
Nice. Okay, I like it. Well, we're going to talk about some of those things happening because the Black Friday searches are absolutely trending. Any hot gifts you've seen so far?
Hot gifts. Is the Furbies, is that still a thing? Or Cabbage Patch Kids? Can we go back to the 80s? I'm
Probably on
kinda missing
eBay.
that.
They might be on eBay.
eBay, I think eBay has, um, ha you know, the biggest collection of gifts that no one wants, isn't that right?
I think so.
Um,
It's we
Look,
used to call it's for the unique and the hard to find. So,
no, I get it. I mean, look, uh, things Thanksgiving is obviously coming up. 55,000,000, or actually Thanksgiving. Um, and I think there's a lot of news stuff in this week. Um, we have a guest with a rich history in e-commerce. I'm super excited about that. We have a lot to get through. What else do we have?
yeah, there is a pretty packed agenda, and we're going to try to get through all of it. You got to give us some grace, though. If we have a hot topic we want to stay in on, we're going to stick there. I think we found that with the Shein conversation last week. So this week we're talking about, of course, the consumer happiness index, the state of that. Retail media, there's so much to unpack as it relates to retail media. I am really excited for your new segment, The Robots Are Winning. There's a lot to talk about, and I cannot wait to hear your take on this. And then we're going to just talk about Singles Day. Was that even a thing?
I think Singles Day kind of came and went. I was searching for the media reports about Singles Day, and what I found was that most people think that it was up 1 to 3%, which is not that much to write home about. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think we should probably spend as much time talking about Singles Day as what was written about it, which is about a minute or two. It was a dud.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally nothing. I think that's a challenge. We look. You mentioned all the things that we're gonna get through in the show. I'm not sure how we're gonna get it all. I'm super excited about our guest. I have a really great friend coming on the show, Gireesh Sahukar. He's the vice president of digital at Dawn Foods. Before Dawn, I'm gonna make sure I get this right. Gireesh was a director of digital architecture at Keurig Dr. Pepper and has held leadership positions in many household names. He's a veteran of the startup world, having been acquired by GE, Oracle, Accenture. Man, I'm like tired just reading this. Coming to us from Boston, it's Gireesh. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Garish.
Hey, Eric. Hey, Jess. How are you
Hi.
both?
Thank you for being
Awesome.
here. So, Garish, we
Thanks for
thought it'd
having
be
me.
fun. Yeah, I mean, look, since you and Rick know each other, and last week we did our two truths and a lie, where Rick tested my skills around Hendrick knowledge. Thought it'd be great to see if we can test Rick's skills on his knowledge about you, since you guys are friends. So, Rick, how about we kick it off? I'm going to give you two
Oh,
truths and a lie
uh,
about Garish.
100%. I'm getting nervous.
You ready for this? Okay.
I'm
All right,
ready.
here they go. Garish believes that composable architecture allows you to break free from vendor constraint. The second, he is a rocket scientist. The third has been worked for companies where he's been acquired by Oracle, Accenture, and Sycamore.
He believes composable architecture allows you to break free of what? Like, is he in a straitjacket? So that's like, can I ask questions here? I'm like getting confused. The second one is, what? Repeat that one again?
The second one is a rocket scientist. The third has been acquired by Oracle.
I'm voting. Look, all due respect to Gireesh. No rocket scientist. That's my lie.
All right, you got it. Gireesh, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, let me send my seminal paper on vibrational relaxation to Rick, and we'll see what he has to think about it. But no, that's correct. I have an educational background in what is the science behind some of the rocket and space industry, but it's more of a academic passion at this point. It's not true that I'm a rocket scientist.
Seminal paper on relaxation. Isn't that what George Santos got busted for?
Sorry, this is real. It was published in the Journal of Chemical Physics, not what George Santos was doing.
Again, this guy still's around. 3 weeks ago, Rick, we had the over/under. He's still here. Still here.
He's still here. He said he's going to retire, so there is a definite cut date here, and they're coming after him. So we'll see how it plays out.
Here we go.
Maybe week 4.
Maybe that's our first topic. So
yeah, this is a good cue. Yeah, I think this is a good cue for our first topic, which is going to be retail media. And obviously, retail media is, I think, one of the biggest growth stories in the past 5-10 years. Who can believe in 2010, Amazon did not have an advertising business pretty much at all. And you can actually go to Amazon, and Amazon would try to show you the most relevant products for you to buy. Imagine this world, Gireesh.
Hard to imagine, isn't it? I mean,
especially for Gireesh, when he's not even a Prime member, so.
Yeah, I'm probably the only one in the world that is not the Prime.
The last Prime member. Is that like a new Star Wars sequel?
Could be a badge, at least.
The last non-Prime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's apocalyptic, it sounds like. You're like the one holdout guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into the stats. I think we have some stats up here on retail media. If you look at the growth and what did it take to actually get to be a $30 billion market? It took Google and search 14 years. It took social, Zuckerberg, he beat that. It took him 11 years. Retail media took 5 years, which means maybe Jeff Bezos wins. Incidentally, I heard Zuckerberg, didn't he tear his ACL in like an MMA match or something?
He did.
But anyway, that's just neither here nor there. Retail media is definitely growing. One news item I heard this week in the retail media front is digital retail media agency Flywheel Digital was acquired by Omnicom. And what I hear happening here is a lot of traditional media agencies, WPP, Omnicom, Publicis, they're all trying to get marketplace expertise. Gireesh, I think as a B2B player, Dawn Foods, you probably think about this a lot with your vendors. How do you think about the rise of retail media?
This has been an interesting time in B2B, especially because in B2B, there is somewhat of a land grab trying to happen in terms of some of the more established B2B players trying to start their own marketplaces, owned marketplaces, where they can invite competing B2B companies to sell their products. So there is not a equivalent of Amazon, although Amazon B2B is pretty big in the B2B space as well. But that's mostly long tail, non-planned spend. But in your planned spend, the individual B2B companies are still ruling. And they are trying to cover this off using their own first-party owned marketplace type of a scenario. Where that sort of runs into trouble is the number one ingredient you need to have for any success in the retail media space is really traffic. If you don't have traffic, it doesn't matter how good your marketplace is. You just don't have the customer, the eyeballs. You don't have the volume you need to be able to make the math work.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Jess.
I was just going to say, I think it's actually interesting to, when you look at retail media and who's winning. Of course, it's Amazon, it's Walmart, Target, Kroger, and you talk about these are big players, and a lot of that gets fueled by CPG, right? And that CPG share and where it goes. Do you think that like Walmart and even some of these smaller grocery stores are concerned about the top retailers taking so much share of CPG, especially as marketplaces expand?
My sense is, in looking at what some of the smaller grocers are doing on retail media, they're trying to make the end cap fees that they've lived off of in stores a thing online. It's really not essentially, they've kind of hit somewhat of a lucky draw here with the IDFA and all the third-party cookies dying. There are a lot of advertising dollars available within their supplier network that they're trying to grab for their digital initiatives or for their e-commerce. There isn't a whole lot for them that they offer in terms of data, insights, analytics. When you think about what you can get from a Amazon or even probably to some extent Walmart. So the smaller players are really looking at retail media more as an end cap fee rather than true advertising network.
What were you going to say, Rick?
Yeah, no, I think we have some stats that we can show on the rise in grocery spending just in, since pre-pandemic, where grocery was just not very well penetrated online. Clearly, the pandemic accelerated grocery spend. I think you mentioned traffic. If people aren't shopping online, there's no traffic. Obviously, Walmart is trying to penetrate in stores. And so Walmart, I think, has been a leader in trying to add retail media networks into stores through digital screens, both on the cart itself, on end caps, at checkout time. Do you see any interest in that from your customers or your brands, Gireesh?
There has been some. Again, B2B lags B2C by maybe about 5 years or so. So you think about B2B, you're thinking, where this world was in 2018. So it's very early days in B2B. There has been interest, and there has been some experiments happening within the B2B distribution space, especially. Distributors are looking for different ways. There are about 5,000 roughly distributors in the US. And most of them are, sub $200 million a year in total sales. So the vast majority of them are looking for ways in which they are going to be finding new revenue streams, right? Trying to find new ways of monetizing what they do. And last mile logistics is expensive and almost no low margin business, no margin business, if you will. Most everyone runs at, between 1% and 4% margins. So they need some ways of being able to monetize that.
Great. I think it's very interesting looking at where this space expands. We know retail media is here to stay. It's now become the lifeblood essentially of EBITDA margins for a lot of these companies. So we're going to keep tabs on it, see how things blow up, see what, if any other categories besides CPG can actually win or succeed here as they're spreading their dollars. We want to move on though to the next topic really, which is Amazon and Meta. Are they BFFs? Is it a match made in heaven, Rick?
Yeah. So what I see happening here is Amazon has these ad units and they're trying to essentially get them in as many places as possible across the internet. Meta is trying to basically grab as much cash as possible. And so that's kind of the marriage here. Um, if you look at the history of Meta in the past 3, 4 years, in the middle of the pandemic, Zuckerberg got religion about e-commerce, like, oh, we're going to be this big e-commerce player. That didn't work out. So they're not going to try and compete with Amazon on the e-commerce front. So you might as well bring e-commerce to Meta rather than trying to replicate all the things that Amazon is doing in-house. I don't know. What do you think, Jess?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Meta has been tackling this e-com. How do we get people in our ecosystem to buy for a long time? We had Facebook Marketplace, you have Instagram shopping, which was all the hype in 2020. And I don't even hear chirps about it anymore. So I think that this Meta ecosystem has really struggled to get people to actually buy and transact. So they had to go in with Amazon, who at least has the Prime recognition, buy with Prime. And then now you're seeing Amazon go to Snap, go to other marketplaces, or go to these other social sites. Do you feel like Meta feels a bit snubbed, or they're just like, we're just happy to be at the party?
If I'm Meta, I'm super excited about this. This is turning out to be a really great year for Meta. They started the year in all kinds of trouble. Their revenues were so in 2022. They've turned that around. Their revenues have stabilized and they've grown, and the stock has outperformed the market. In fact, I was just looking at it. Meta is up nearly 300%. They started the year at 124. They're at 333 right now. So when you think about what the stock market signals are telling you, the market is long and bullish on Meta. Like it or not, all the other issues aside, they're having a fantastic year. What do they have? They have traffic. They have eyeballs. What does Amazon need for making its ad network? They're buying up as many properties. They bought Thursday Night Football. They bought a whole bunch of TV shows. They're expanding that. They need more and more surface area for their ads. And the partnerships that they've announced over the last 7 or 8 days with Meta, with Pinterest, with Snap, they provide that surface area, right? These are platforms that we go to for all of our social interactions, and they're just trying to figure out ways of how do we monetize that traffic.
No, and I totally agree. If you have the best performing ads on the internet, which basically Amazon does, you're trying to get those in front of as many people as possible. And we have a little bit of, I wanted to show the experience here, if we can cue that up. And I think it's interesting. You're on Meta, you're browsing, and I don't know. I'm a little confused here, Jess. It looks like you put your Amazon credentials into your Meta Instagram account, and then you give it there, and then you're able to buy from your Amazon account. They're not calling this buy with Prime. They're calling this buy with Amazon. So what is it like buy with Prime getting the Heisman, or do they not want to limit it to only Prime member? Like, I'm a little confused.
I'm confused too, because it would feel like it's the natural way for them to expand Buy with Prime and get a lot more visibility and credibility with the retail ecosystem that is giving Buy with Prime the Heisman. I mean, I don't think Macy's wants that in their territory or any of the other big retailers that they probably need to win with to get more Prime members, which is ultimately what they're looking for. So I'm confused why in this social network, they don't want to capitalize on getting and accessing more members like Gireesh, because he's still not a Prime member. I cannot believe it. Like, why are we not talking more about this? The guy is not on Prime. So there clearly are people not on Prime. They've got to use this. I am confused. And I think the other question I have is, can we really expect that the Amazon brand on Meta, on Snap, on Pinterest is enough to unlock the social shopping paradigm that they've just not been able to tap into? Do you think they will, Gireesh?
I think this is for both of them more of a data play, right? I don't think there is as much of a social platforms getting to e-commerce or e-commerce platforms getting religion around social. I think this is more being able to do what they do and provide sort of the backbones for each other. Amazon essentially will become the underlying commerce infrastructure for a lot of these advertisers on other platforms. And that's sort of the value that this partnership brings for Meta, Snap, and Pinterest. They are not going to have to go build it, as our friend Hendrik said earlier in the week. And that is expensive to build. That is even harder to get it to work. And these social companies have demonstrated time and time again by trying to get in and go away from those kind of commerce initiatives. They're not going to make it work. In terms of the benefits here, one of the things that I've been thinking about is, who gets more data or who has more data in this partnership, right? You're talking about, in terms of Meta and Amazon, two of the most data thirsty companies on the planet. So it'll be interesting to find out, does Meta get access to Amazon data, or does Amazon get access to Meta data, or vice versa, or does it go both ways? Because there's a rich way of targeting if you're an Amazon advertiser or a Facebook advertiser, getting access to the other's data in a cookieless format through your own advertising platform, that could be very valuable.
Can we just also talk? We talked about Amazon though and Meta, but what's the benefit to the customer? What's the benefit to the consumer in the ecosystem? What do you see, Rick?
Look, I think that the consumer, it's questionable, and the reason is, I agree with Gireesh. It's more about data than actually helping the consumer, because if you've seen any initiative to try to get people to buy on social media, it hasn't taken off.
Yeah.
And so Amazon, the benefit of Amazon, as opposed to a whole bunch of random influencers in shops, is that everyone knows who's Amazon is, and lots of people have an Amazon account. And so I think it has a better than even chance of succeeding compared to the average TikTok shop or like whatever it is we're talking about. So I think that's really valuable. And by the way, Gireesh, don't think I'm gonna let you slide. You gave the first pun of the show. It's like Amazon getting access to metadata. I mean, come on. That was a little subtle.
Man.
I picked up on
that
it.
That was pretty good, actually. I think we got our soundbite.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love it.
I think is there a world in which this benefits customers? To Jess's question around the impulse purchases, when you're shown an ad for something that's $5 or $10 or $20, is there an impulse purchase that converts better than just the ad itself, right? You can see the great creative, you can see the influencer video and all that, but today the conversion has so much friction. Does this change that from a consumer point of view? Are you able to, in the moment, make that purchase and make it quickly, eliminate that friction?
Look, I guess to Rick's point, if I have a choice of buying from Amazon that I know versus Temu that I don't, probably the same shit, but I probably will end up buying from Amazon.
Is the experience differentiation good enough for this partnership? Are there some players who will lose out of this? Thinking about your media consolidation agencies, right? The ad buying process, does that change with this partnership? I think
one question
there
I
are
have is,
potentially some losers here.
yeah, I mean, one question I had was, who's actually going to do the media buying? Is it going to be people who are on the social side or on the retail media side? Who's going to win access to those ad dollars? Who's going to make the decision? And by the way, the old traditional media agency fight is attribution. Do we
Right.
attribute this to
Oh, yeah.
retail media or our social revenue?
I think there'll be lots of people duking it out in the virtual conference rooms for sure. I'm curious to the audience, like, who do you guys think is going to win? Is it Amazon? Is it Meta? Is it the customer? Tell us what you think. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that while I wait for the audience to chime in. I think it's Amazon because I think it needs access to that consumer data more. Meta is just trying to basically create a better mousetrap and get a few extra dollars per ad unit. But Amazon will get access to a lot of the customer data that I think Facebook has, and use that to tune its conversion algorithms, which I'm a big fan of. So my vote would be Amazon.
You're calling it.
What about you, Gireesh?
Yeah, I think so too. I think when you think about some of the AI initiatives and Gen AI type of AWS products that they're coming out with, what's the number one ingredient there? Data. And if you're not storing your data on Amazon already, this is bringing even more data to the AI. I think you can't really take AI to your Meta platforms. That's not a thing. So I think the winner is Amazon on the data front, at least.
All right. Edward Scott Finnegan says Meta is still confused. I would agree with that. So I think that's going to be the last word here. What we want to talk about next is, in the spirit of customers, which is honestly why a lot of us are here, is what's their pulse check? We talked about the Consumer Happiness Index, and we want to move into that segment just to give you a quick hit on what we're seeing in the market. So yeah,
I'm the one on the right. I like the Frank the Tank going on here.
I'm feeling Frank the Tank, and actually, I don't want to steal the thunder, but we're going to talk about why I think the consumer is going to be moving more into Frank the Tank. But before we get there, there's been a lot of data that's come out recently related to both store sales, e-commerce sales. We also have, this is the new report from the NRF and CNBC together, partnered with Affinity Solutions. We got like the trifecta that really just packs the punch here. This is looking at our monthly review, but even when you look at a year-over-year perspective, October was soft, and we're hearing it for sure across the market. Target releasing earnings, Walmart releasing earnings. You just talked about that, Rick, in your live stream yesterday. And it was soft in a couple of areas. A bright spot, though, health and beauty. So health and beauty are mass retailers, and mass is up 10%, and the prestige brands are up 14%. So that one, I think, was an interesting anomaly when you look at what's going on in the space. And if we go to the next, if you think about kind of the next slide and what we're talking about here, it really has to do with the pressure that consumers are feeling as it relates to debt. And we've heard about this. We've talked about this. Student loans certainly are back, but we're seeing that stimulus money run out. America has a 1 trillion credit card balance issue, and this is going to put pressure on what we've seen happen in October. So I think that what we're watching now is, as the look forward, where do we believe retail is going to land? I believe brick and mortar is going to continue to have challenges. Online, when you look at Adobe data, online is actually up and performing really well. The consumer is going to win, though, because from the Adobe data, we're seeing discounts coming down, or discounts higher. Products, then the prices are coming down on electronics, sporting goods. And of course, that's where we've seen the categories that are having the most pressure. And so what I want to summarize here is, I do believe the Consumer Happiness Index is going to be Frank the Tank, because Black Friday deal searches are on the rise, and they're on the rise in a much bigger way year over year. The customer isn't spending yet because they're waiting, they're saving their dollars. They believe psychologically that no matter what is being put in front of them, the best deals are coming on those days. Black Friday, Cyber Monday. They've been trained. They know it's coming. They're saving their dollars, and that's when they're going to spend. Gireesh, Rick, any other takeaways you guys have?
Yeah, I think just as a consumer, I'm excited. This holiday season, the discounts and the deep discounts are back this year. You've already seen in September, October, especially major apparel brands already try out 20 and 30% off discounts. They've even gone to 40% discounts in the first half of November, and nothing has really worked, because consumer knows that the discounts on Black Friday, Cyber Monday are going to be deeper. They have set their expectations on that. Retailers are starting to make some noise about 50 and 60% off type of deals come this weekend or next weekend. So, we're going to wait, and we're going to get deeper discounts.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like the hot product is missing? I feel like that's, we were talking about the gifts earlier, Rick. It just feels like those hot products of the season, might not be here. What do you all think?
I'm kind of waiting to see it as well. I certainly haven't seen any kind of like national sensation product that's flying off the shelves. When I do listen to some of the earnings, both Walmart and Target talked about exclusive Lego products, exclusive Barbie Dreamhouse products, and so those sorts of things. I think the Barbie hangover is still with us. I don't know about Barbenheimer. There's not like a little Los Alamos lab Dreamhouse. Did you see that, Gireesh?
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of appetite for that. I think the writer actor strike, the cultural phenomenon is driven by the studios, right? Or studios are amplifying what's happening in general. So the strike could not have come at a worse time for them, unfortunately. And that is going to have ripple effect on retail. There is some other things happening. I don't know if you guys have talked about Ozempic and Wegovy and things like that. Are those driving any of this? It's hard to say. I think you've got there hasn't been a good sort of take the cultural attention by storm type of a event over the summer that usually drives your fall hot item type of a phenomenon. There's not been anything new in electronics. There's not been anything new in toys, which are two of the major categories in the holiday season. Apparel usually does well, but that's sort of of a cyclical type of category. So people tend to buy apparel regardless.
Yeah.
I think in Walmart earnings, they talked about people waiting at the end of October. They thought that people were waiting for discounts. This is something you mentioned earlier, Gireesh, but also the cold weather, I think, came a little bit later than people expected. And so what they found was that as the weather started getting cold, the apparel sales started recovering. Yeah, you mentioned like Ozempic. That seems to be taking over the healthcare world. They're calling these GLP-1 as
Right.
if we needed like another ET situation. Um, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think some of the grocery sales or grocery stores have been down ever since that came out. Delta, interestingly, said Delta CEO said this could be a good thing for them because they would use less fuel. Um, and their stock went up based on that comment. That was pretty funny. I don't think
Whoa.
it really translates, but that was an interesting dynamic in the market.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe Delta can start to hire robot pilots as part of it to hire around all the skinnier people due to Ozempic.
There we go.
Is that too much? I don't know.
It
But
might be it might be a little much.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the robot pilots is probably a while away. I don't think robots are quite there yet. And if your pilot was a robot, would you want to be on that flight?
I don't know. Speaking of robots, we have a new segment on the show that I'm introducing. Frankly, I got a little jealous. Jess had a segment. I didn't have a segment. So I had to geek out. I had to geek out a little bit that on AI. Few Watsonians might know is that I actually studied AI back in '98 at Vanderbilt. I was in the robotics lab. And this is what's going to happen in Amazon's next warehouse. Look at this guy. Your job is safe. I'll just say that.
Hey, but they can play
it's not
soccer.
gonna
They
happen.
can play soccer. So we're winning. We're winning.
They cannot play soccer. Look, a number of things happened in AI this week. Not all of them are related to retail, but I'll talk about the first foundational thing. OpenAI in the last couple of weeks released what they called, like, first of all, they have a naming problem. They call it GPTs. So they have ChatGPT and they release a new feature called GPTs. Like, think of a new name, first of all. Basically, GPTs are pre-packaged prompts that they put into a kind of app store so that you don't have to type in or have a notepad open and copy and paste. You can share it with your friends. You can purchase it. That's one thing I've seen from an AI point of view. And I bring it up here because I think it's kind of a foundational functionality that if you're a software developer and you're using OpenAI, large language models, you can start to release some of your own GPTs to your customers, to your partners, even use it internally with your employees. How are you seeing this inside of retail technology, Gireesh?
Oh, so many pilots, not enough time. Just about everyone that I've talked to in the last year or so has been working on some kind of co-pilot or autopilot, and the challenge here is in trying to understand, if everyone builds these kind of pilots, do we need a API gateway of some sort, a pilot gateway of some sort on top of these things, and trying to think about where we can use general purpose AI versus where you really need specific industry expertise based co-pilots that are these models that are trained on specific data and have deep expertise. You don't want your HR team to use a general purpose AI that can spit out anything. You want them to understand labor laws and restrictions and so on before you turn that over. But you can use a general purpose AI within the HR function to write job descriptions. Can do a really good job of it. But beyond that,
that would probably be the first job description ever written inside of most organizations.
Hey,
I think there's a lot of copy paste.
I'll let that one go.
No, look, I think the next story in the robots are winning is Zalando. This is
Mhm.
your old friends, Jess,
Yeah.
and I think we're gonna go in the fashion realm. Like, Zalando introduced a fashion GPT assistant.
Yes. They did. And I think a lot of fashion, especially online, has been trying to solve this problem of the broad search. I'm looking for a cocktail dress that isn't too showy, but is a bit understated, but also will blow my ex-boyfriend's mind as I walk into the door. And so that's not something that you categorize in your data attribution as
It's
a
a very
merchandiser.
specific description,
It's a
Jess.
very
It's a
specific
very
description.
specific,
I'm not saying I ever made that search, but maybe I
overly
pinned a few boards.
overly specific.
Right. So I think that they've been trying to, figure out for a long time, how do they help customers with these broader searches that just don't fit naturally into data attribution or filters. And they feel like this fashion assistant is going to be the unlock. So the example that they use is, when you're trying to figure out what to wear, a birthday party, a business meeting, an excursion to Machu Picchu, we want to help you uncover those possibilities. I think they're entering with the right trepidation, not over promising, saying, look, this is going to be buggy. We're testing this out. But I'm curious, Rick, I know you've studied a lot in fashion. Gireesh, you've got a huge background here in retail. Like, do you feel like that this is a solvable problem with ChatGPT?
It only goes back to the earlier discussion we were having around the data. The models you can train on these kind of things are based on how good of a data set do you have. Do you have all the right attributes? For example, I would love AI assistant that would help me shop the right size shirts and pants. Anyone who's seen me will know I'm really tall, but when you break that apart, I have a really really short torso and long legs, and most standard sizes don't really work well with that kind of body type. So I really need a personal tailor at the end of it all to alter all the store bought clothes. So if you understand that kind of dynamic and then try to find the right data to feed these kind of models, then you will have something useful for customers.
Yeah, I think that's the hope and the dream, right? What you're saying, helping with brand discovery, helping with fit discovery. We've been trying to solve the fit problem in fashion forever with True Fit, with all these other fit technologies. Just kind of thinking through, are we believing that AI and ChatGPT and these prompts, are they taking jobs at this point?
Jobs.
Jobs. I don't know. I think if anything, at the moment they're creating more jobs. In fact, most of the new jobs in tech and in related sectors are coming from these AI related projects and startups. So if anything, they're net additive.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I can come in on the other side of that. Shopify, restructured their team. They are reducing their support staff. They're introducing a co-pilot. Who do you think that co-pilot's replacing? Support people.
Customer
Kevin
success.
Ippen. Yeah, exactly. Kevin Ippen, thanks for the comment. In terms of AI and product use cases, I feel like product discovery is going to quickly evolve beyond traditional search, guided shopping journeys, finding products based on intent, help with size, fit, visualization with AR, etc. I agree with you, Kevin. I believe that helping customers find out what they want to buy and why, that's really, the challenge. David Hoffman. Oh, do you have a comment here, Gireesh? Are we talking about torso GPT? You just you outed yourself a little bit.
Maybe, maybe David and I have a point here. I think more fashion designers need to find different body types. In all seriousness, I think Kevin is right. there are use cases, AR, VR, those kind of mixed reality type of scenarios where AI can quickly generate those things. There are startups working on this. They have products in market already around these things. So this is not new. How does a if you've bought flooring in the last 10 years, you've seen their websites, right? They've had these kind of functionality. How does a rug or tile or flooring look in your space? They've had that capability on their websites, in their apps forever. So this is not new. While I was at Keurig, we experimented with how does this brewer look on your counter type of a use case. We had a mobile app and that kind of functionality inside of the mobile app built. So those use cases are going to become much easier to build. What took a lot of time, custom tools and a lot of hacking things around to build something like that, are going to become really, really easy.
We look forward to the GPT marketplace day where we're lifting and shifting. I thought that we were going to talk about Singles Day. Did we forget about that, Rick? I guess
we talked about it. Did you miss it?
Oh yeah, you know what? I missed it about as much as I missed all the coverage. Yet again, Singles Day. Wah, wah. Sorry, I had to take it. All right. I think we have crushed our topics for this week. We've had an action-packed agenda yet again. Thank you guys for hanging with us. Gireesh, thank you for being here. Rick, any parting words for the day?
Thank you, Gireesh. I think we're going to part on some Thanksgiving wishes. What Gireesh and Jess, what are you guys thankful for?
I'll let Gireesh go first.
Rick and Jess, thanks for having me. This Thanksgiving, as always, I'm thankful for good friends, family, and looking forward to a great, Thanksgiving dinner with friends.
Yeah, same.
Jess?
Always grateful for family, friends. I got to throw the health in there too, because I think you forget about that when you're in the grind of working. I'm grateful I can still run, grateful I can still work out, staying healthy. And I'm grateful for good tunes like Tay Tay and Eminem. So
speaking of, I'm thankful. We're in the club. It's a dance party. That's how we.
That's right.
Weekend.
You gotta answer this, Gireesh. You gotta go. Here we go. You gotta show us your moves.
We'll let Rick do all the dances for the three of us here.
Bring it up.